A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark, chapter 8, verses 14 to 21. Passage taken from the Message version of the Bible. At that time, the disciples forgot to pack a lunch. Except for a single loaf of bread, there wasn't a crumb in the boat. Jesus warned, "Be very careful. Keep a sharp eye out for the contaminating yeast of Pharisees and the followers of Herod." Meanwhile, the disciples were finding fault with each other because they had forgotten to bring bread. Jesus overheard and said, "Why are you fussing because you forgot bread? Don't you see the point of all this? Don't you get it at all? Remember the 5 loaves I broke for the 5,000? How many baskets of leftovers did you pick up?" They said, 12. "And the 7 loaves for the 4,000? How many bags full of leftovers did you get?" 7. He said, "Do you still not get it?" The Gospel of the Lord. Reflections on the Gospel according to Mark, chapter 8, verses 14 to 21. Today's Gospel brings up a warning against the yeast of the Pharisees and the Herodians. Thanks to the biblical scholars, today we know that Mark was writing his text of Gospel for the Catechumens in Rome. He wanted to communicate a specific message to those who were receiving baptism and coming into faith. The good news of Jesus spreads and multiplies. But not everything that multiplies is good news. In the previous chapters, Mark portrayed the Pharisees as hypocrites and power-mongers. In every miracle story of Jesus, there were some opposing voices from the religious leaders. They opposed forgiveness of God. Observation of Sabbath was imposed as a burden on the people. They sought recognition in public places. They were jealous of the extraordinary powers and popularity that Jesus was gaining. Jealousy, hypocrisy, and all the evil tendencies work like yeast, but contaminate the society. Mark's sense of the leaven of Herod had been masterfully outlined in his dramatization of the execution of John the Baptist. Herod wanted political security at any cost and could not accept criticisms. He valued personal honor more than the life of another. For him, to look good was imperative, to do good was irrelevant. He could feast and make merry while his subjects were exploited beyond endurance. Mark's reference to the 1 loaf of bread in the boat out on the water was significant. The boat was perhaps a symbol of Mark's community on mission. Within the community of disciples, there was to be only 1 loaf, the leaven of God. It was spectacularly more than enough for everyone, Jew and Gentile. Later in the narrative, Jesus would take a loaf in his hands and invite his disciples to eat it, declaring it to be his body broken for all. In Jesus' mind, Eucharist would be celebration of the all-inclusive vision of God, of God's universal offer of forgiveness and of life to the full. Eucharistic bread would allow no place for the leaven of Pharisees or of Herod. Mark recorded Jesus' profound sadness that even the disciples had not understood the mind of Jesus, the vision he had tried to unfold during his Galilean ministry. Yet, Jesus did not withdraw from his mission. He continued to work with his hard-hearted disciples. In spite of all their limitations, he loved them. He hoped in them. Let us not argue among us any longer over our petty concerns, but be united around the life-giving bread on board.